So our final presenter tonight, last but certainly not least, is Janet Ricklick. Janet is a volunteer coordinator with the Malesh Hospice House in Temple Terrace. She will be presenting We Honor Veterans, One Who Served books. You will find the grant summary on page 7, grant application number 12. This grant aligns with the hospice mission as we tailor our care to the population's needs, as we know our veterans can have very different experiences at the end of life. Janet has been instrumental in implementing all our veterans programs. She also raises alpacas. Welcome, Janet.
Thank you, Patty. I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Harris. Mr. Harris is a Navy veteran. He flew torpedo bombers in World War II. And after that, sorry, my voice. After that, he then flew first-generation jet aircraft, jet fighters, in Korea. So he had a long and distinguished service. We met him at the Sun City Hospice House. He joined us there. He had no family, no visitors, no friends, but he had us. And as part of our normal veterans program, we did a military honor pinning, which is something that we do with every one of our veterans that come through our services. Part of that pinning includes providing him with this book. When he received the book, he visibly became emotional. His eyes welled up with tears, and he said to the chaplain, "I've never been given anything like that before. Why me?" And he said, "Well, we just want to say thank you." And he said, I don't think in all my years that anyone's ever thanked me for my service. That's kind of sad. We have the opportunity to say thank you to our veterans and to include this as part of the veteran pinning service. It gives you an opportunity to start the conversation. When this book was presented to Mr. Harris, he started telling the chaplain stories of when he served in Korea and some of the things he saw. That's a conversation that might not have happened otherwise. He actually said to the chaplain afterwards, I feel better now. I feel better that I've been able to get some of this off my heart. That's an important piece in letting our veterans pass peacefully. On Christmas Eve, the chaplain went back in to see Mr. Harris, and by that time he couldn't speak any longer, but he kept looking over at the table where his book was and looking back at the chaplain and nodding his head. So it was just another reassurance to the chaplain that this book and this acknowledgement and this honor pinning meant a lot to this man who had dedicated a lot of his time to serving our country. The We Honor Veterans program is a pioneer program, and it's geared towards creating an environment where we make a respectful inquiry of the veterans about their service. We listen compassionately to their stories, and then we give them a grateful acknowledgement for the time that they've served. 1 in every 4 deaths in our country is a veteran. That's a pretty high number. That number is going to go up in the next 10 years as our Vietnam-era veterans begin to age out. So it's a significant part of our population. Excuse me. Through this program, we help to transition the families and the patients through some of their life stories to a more peaceful passing. I'm proposing giving this book, the We Honor Veterans, the One Who Served book, to all of the hospice patients that have served in the U.S. military. It's a 110-page booklet. It not only has a place for them to write their military history, so their family has that and can keep that as a legacy, but the back part of the book is also bereavement information and services that they have access to as veterans and veterans' families. So it not only is a legacy for them, but a resource down the road for the family members. This book would be presented to 550 patients, which is half of the veterans that LifePath Hospice serves. The total cost is $11,000, which is $20 per book, and we hope to find other donors that would support the other half of this book. Your group graciously granted us the foundation for these first books in 2013. And then in subsequent years, USAA had a special grant that they gave us that paid for the books. But that grant through USAA is no longer available. So we're hoping that you can support us in being able to continue to provide these to our veteran patients and their families. The program has made a difference by recognizing that the end-of-life experience from a veteran, especially those that have served in wartime, can be very different than a non-veteran. And it's important that we honor, excuse me, and recognize that. And very often, this honor ceremony is the only time someone has formally thanked them for their service. I'm passionate about this program, not only because I come from a line of veterans, but because I've seen the impact that it's had on family members and men, big, tough, burly men with tears in their eyes that say, God, no one's thanked me for a long time, or this really meant a lot to me, or like just what happened in the house the other day, this gentleman was fairly non-responsive. We played the Marine Corps hymn, and his foot started going like this. So deep down in his soul was still that time that he served and he contributed to our country. Our Americans, our veterans have done everything we ask of them in their mission to serve. And so this is our opportunity, and we believe it's important to give them a hero's welcome home. So the one thing I want you to remember is that now's the time to honor and thank these men and women with the dignity that they deserve. And I also thank any of you who might have served or were married to someone who served. Thank you.